bordering the Mediterranean Sea, the westernmost is Spain, in the rugged Iberian Peninsula, a western link between Europe and Africa. For countless centuries, a meeting place of many types of people. All are Spaniards, and all are typical. But to understand the 28 million people of Spain and why they live as they do, in the farms or in the city, we must also know about their history and the nature of their land. The first people of Spain were probably the Iberians, who crossed from Africa many thousands of years ago. They were later joined by the Celts from the north. The Phoenicians came from the east to establish trading posts. And were followed by the Greeks and Carthaginians, who founded colonies along the Mediterranean coast. By 200 BC, Roman power was reaching out, soon to control all of Spain. Even today, many Spanish cities are surrounded by the stone walls of the ancient Roman conquerors. Roman arches and aqueducts of 20 centuries ago still tower above modern buildings. It was the Romans who brought Christianity to Spain. Centuries passed and Roman power faded. Waves of invading Vandals and Goths swept down, bringing the blonde hair and blue eyes of the Nordic races. Meanwhile, Arabic and other Mohammedan peoples were moving westward across Africa, absorbing the native population. These people, called the Moors, invaded Spain, conquering all but a tiny bit of land in the far north. Like the Romans, the Moors built well. Their last Spanish stronghold, the Alhambra in Granada, still displays the grace and beauty which the Moors introduced to Europe. We can easily imagine that here was a place where men studied sciences, while the rest of Europe was still buried in the ignorance of the Dark Ages. The Moors, like the previous invaders, had helped to enrich the life of the people of Spain. But from their northern foothold, the Spaniards fought back. Slowly, through 7 long centuries of fierce struggle, the Moors were forced to retreat, until at last Moorish power was driven back into Africa, and Spain was again a Christian land. The reconquest from the Moors also left its mark on the Spanish scene. The towering castles built by Spanish nobles as strongholds against the Moors remained to dominate the countryside, just as the many great cathedrals of Spain show the importance the church gained in the life of the people. Today, Spaniards are among the world's most devout Catholics. Near the close of the 15th century, in a small monastery at La Rábida, Christopher Columbus was planning a voyage which would change the life of Spain and the rest of Europe. From the nearby port of Palos, where this monument faces out to sea, his 3 tiny ships sailed to find a new world, part of which became a Spanish empire, bringing great wealth to Spain and making her one of the most powerful nations of Europe. But as the centuries passed, this great empire dissolved, and today Spain's territories have dwindled to the Iberian Peninsula and a few small areas in Africa. This turbulent history remains clearly reflected in the people and the life of Spain today. Descendants of what were probably the earliest people of Spain, the Basques, now live in northern mountain regions. The Basque speaks a language unlike Spanish or any other known tongue. He clings to family ties and old traditions, often wearing the costumes, performing the dances of an ancient era. In southern Spain, the Moorish influence is strong. The people reveal their eastern ancestry in their dark skin and their singing and dancing. For the modern flamenco dance has its roots in the gypsy rhythm of the Moors. Craftsmen making inlaid wooden boxes use patterns of Moorish design identical to those seen in eastern Mediterranean lands. Even Spanish homes show the Moorish style of architecture. Exteriors are plain, but within the walls are charming patios, cooling fountains, and comfortable furnishings. The medieval influence also persists in parts of Spain. The great Cathedral of Toledo was begun over 2.5 centuries before Columbus found the New World. Its tower dominates the ancient city of Toledo, once the capital of Spain. Here the atmosphere of the Middle Ages is preserved in narrow streets, medieval buildings, and Gothic arched bridges. Toledo craftsmen still forge and temper fine swords, recalling that this city had one of Europe's finest arms and armor industries in the Middle Ages. The ancient Roman amphitheaters were the model for Spain's many bullfighting arenas, and the most popular exhibitions in Spain, the bullfights, can probably be traced back to Roman gladiatorial contests. The purpose of bullfighting is to demonstrate the graceful skill, the precise form and courage of the matador. However, this technique of fighting and style of costume originated only about 200 years ago. At a fiesta, a more popularized version of a bullfight may sometimes be seen, where the adventurous young men of the city try to demonstrate their skill as matadors. Lucky for all, the bull's horns are well padded. But although history plays an important part in men's lives, so does the climate and character of their land. Central and southern Spain are dry, often barren, and sometimes mountainous. There are large areas of rocky soil with so little rainfall that the land is almost useless. Some regions with slightly more rain are suitable for grazing, and large flocks of sheep and goats far outnumber all other farm animals combined. Olive trees grow well in this semi-arid climate. These well-kept groves supply over 1/3 of the world's olive oil. From rich vineyards come grapes for wine. Spanish sherry is recognized as one of the world's finest wines and is a major export of Spain. Along the eastern coast, fine citrus groves supply oranges to many other European countries. Oranges are the most valuable of all Spanish exports. Golden fields supply grains, mainly wheat and barley, Spain's most important agricultural product. Some farm machinery is seen in Spain, but the great expense of such equipment forces most farmers to harvest by hand and to carry their grains in carts or on donkeys to the village. Here, all the farmers of the district work together. Some are threshing by dragging a heavy sled over the grain and so squeezing the kernels from the husk. A simple winnowing machine separates the grain from the chaff. Another farmer simply tosses the grain and chaff into the air, allowing the wind to separate them by blowing the chaff aside. Although central and southern Spain generally have a very dry climate, selection of proper crops and hard work makes this region productive and largely agricultural. From the high range of the Pyrenees, separating Spain from France, stretches a region which has far more rainfall than the land to the south. People of this region have made little change in their mode of life for many centuries. Living in ancient villages with walls and roofs made of durable stone, crossing stone bridges built when Rome held Spain 2,000 years ago. In the rainy northern province of Galicia, farmers raise potatoes, while a nearby stone silo holds corn. Both of these crops were introduced to Spain from the Americas by the returning Spanish conquerors. In northern Spain, too, farm machinery is rare, and plowing is usually done with a yoke of oxen. But the ample rainfall provides a green countryside with good land for farming and grazing. Northern Spain also has the most industrial development. Mountain rivers and waterfalls have been harnessed in hydroelectric plants to give power to railways, factories, and homes. Spain mines a poor grade of coal, but is rich in mercury, pyrites, lead, zinc, and many other valuable minerals. Her iron ore supplies blast furnaces and steel mills, which gives Spain an opportunity for manufacturing. Her most important industry, however, has a connection with the farms. It is textile weaving. Wool from the many sheep of Spain and cotton, mainly from other nations, are spun and woven to make textiles for which Spain has been famous since Roman times. Industry and commerce make great cities possible. Spain's second largest community is the capital of the Catalonian region, Barcelona. Founded by the ancient Carthaginians, it has now grown to number over 1 million persons and become a commercial and manufacturing center, as well as Spain's leading seaport, where vessels load Spanish fruits, textiles, and minerals for other nations to return from their voyages with raw materials and manufactured products lacking in Spain. In the center of Spain is Madrid, the capital and most important city. Here, over 1.5 million people have gathered to build one of Europe's most modern cities. Madrid is the transportation center of Spain, a blending of busy factories, commercial districts, wide boulevards, and beautiful public parks. Fine hotels and a modern university are a marked contrast to the stern castles or the simplicity of farm life in other parts of Spain. The Spaniards' pride in their great literature is expressed in the statue of Don Quixote and his squire, Sancho Panza, fictional heroes of the great 17th century novel of Cervantes. With its lovely gardens and fountains, Madrid is one of Europe's most beautiful cities. Spain is a nation which has been created from the mingling of many peoples. The Roman ruins, the Moorish towers, the medieval castles, and the lofty cathedrals. These are the symbols of Spain's turbulent past. This history and the character of the land have shaped the lives of the people of Spain. The Basque people remind us of the Iberians, Spain's earliest inhabitants. The flamenco dancers carry on the heritage of the Moors. The proud matador follows the traditions of 2 centuries ago. The Spanish farmer lives and works like his ancestor of the Middle Ages. While life on a great city's busy streets reflects the pace of modern commerce and industry. The Spanish people have combined many cultures from other lands to enrich the world with their own forms of these cultures. The music and art, the writing and architecture, the inspiration and the labors of the people of Spain.